Hello everyone, so my name is Camila and today we are back for another DIY project making 3 ingredient easy homemade dog treats. So for our ingredients, again, not only are we just gonna need these 3, but they are also some really easy ingredients that you can find maybe just lying around your house. So the first thing we're gonna start with is rolled or old-fashioned oats. So I'm gonna be using old-fashioned oats today, but you can also use rolled oats, or you could use some leftover unflavored oatmeal that you may have laying around your house as well. Then next we're gonna use peanut butter. But for the peanut butter, the most important thing that you're gonna wanna keep in mind is to make it xylitol free. So in order to do that, you are just gonna buy natural peanut butter with the only ingredient going to be dry roasted peanuts. So just that one ingredient. And this is because for our dogs, xylitol can be a very toxic additive in their foods. So it's an artificial sweetener, which can be bad for their health. So you can find this at your local Trader Joe's or any other local supermarket. And then lastly, you're just gonna use some common bananas. You're gonna use 2 ripe bananas. And yeah, that's all we're gonna need today. And without further ado, let's get into how we're gonna make our dog treats. For step 1, you're just going to start by preheating your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is where we are going to cook our dog treats, just at a low temperature. Next, you are just going to line a baking sheet with either flour or parchment paper. Okay, so the best part about these dog treats is that they are also environmentally sustainable. Dog treats can really help our environment by not only reducing waste, but reducing packaging and also transportation costs, and also ensuring that there are less unsustainable farming practices going into making dog treats. So now, once you have 2 cups of your oats in your food processor, you're just gonna close this up and we are going to just process this until it is about a powdery dust. So once your oats are blended, you're just gonna take your 2 bananas after peeling them, and you're just gonna want to kind of cut them up into small enough pieces that they're able to fit into your food processor or blender, or if you're doing this manually, enough so that you can mash them properly. Okay, so once that is done, you are just going to measure out ½ a cup of your natural peanut butter and then toss both of these things back into the food processor and process them until you get kind of a sticky dough for your treats. Okay, so now that everything is in there, we can just blend. Okay, so I just took out the dough from the food processor, and then afterwards I just ground up some more of the old-fashioned oats so that I could add them onto the dough to make it a little less sticky so that we can move on for the next steps. So once your dough is ready and it is not sticky anymore, you can just roll it out. I'm just going to flatten it because I don't have a rolling pin. But if you do have a rolling pin, you can just go ahead and roll it out onto a flat surface. And then afterwards, you are just going to want to cut it or form it into any shapes you want before baking. So I'm going to do mine with little cookie cutters, but you can do it in any shape that you'd like. Now that everything is cut, we can just go ahead and add all of our little cookies onto the baking sheet. All right, so once these are all prepped, we are just gonna pop these in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And when they come out of the oven, they may still be a little soft. So you just wanna let them sit for about 5 to 10 minutes so they can firm up a little bit. And then once those are done, these are going to be kind of a softer, chewier dog treat, and then we can just go ahead and start putting them into an airtight container. And these can be stored in room temperature in an airtight container for about 1 week, and then those should still be good by then. Okay, So while the dog treats are cooking, I'm just going to talk about how my DIY project relates to Ace. So, sorry, the noise is the current dog that we're making the treats for. Anyways, the unit that mine most applies to is the Energy Resources and Consumption unit, specifically on waste reduction and sustainable farming. And as for how my project relates and contributes to sustainability is by making homemade dog treats, I am also directly reducing food waste, which I'm using leftover ingredients such as the oats or maybe browning bananas, anything like that. And this can also help then lower methane emissions that would be going into landfills when waste is either being burned, incinerated, or is just being improperly discarded. And not only this, but I'm cutting down on packaging waste as mentioned. So this is avoiding the fossil fuels used in these mass production when factories are having to create all these little individual packagings for these resources. And then also by choosing these local or organic natural ingredients that we can find at these local grocery stores, I'm also supporting sustainable agriculture as mentioned, connecting back to that unit, and also lessening those potentially long transportation emissions and efforts that would be going into maybe getting products that we don't know where some of the products are coming from. And then finally, on how my project relates to the Act Local Think Global Act is it's just showing how these small actions can help to contribute to just a larger environmental cause. So simply by making homemade dog treats, taking about this hour that it took or so to make these dog treats, I am thus not only lowering my own carbon footprint, but I'm also just contributing again to lessening maybe these potential improper agricultural practices or anything like that, or food waste, packaging waste, anything like that. And these, again, just simple and quick local choices can be also adopted widely and universally throughout communities, and they can help lower greenhouse gas emissions and then overall help the environment. So now that the treats are out of the oven and they've been sitting for some time, we are just gonna place them in this airtight container, and then they will be ready to serve to our dogs. So these are all set in their containers, and we have a little visitor. So let's see if these are dog approved. Lucy, look. We can see Lucy approves, so they are dog approved. Thanks for watching.